The topics, opinions, and views discussed in these videos are meant for entertainment purposes and are not a substitute for professional advice. Hi, and welcome back to the channel and this video. Today, we're going to talk about retirement and threats. Yes, we're all subject to threats of some way, shape, or form, especially in the current world we live here in 2026. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. The obvious one is being attacked physically. As a former peace officer, it is probably drilled into me that wherever I go out, I'm always aware of what's going on. It's unless you've been a peace officer, it's hard for people to understand. And don't slag on the police. Peace officers do a lot of good things. I was a correctional officer for 14 years and faced a lot of things. So I do things by a different set of rules, but I'm going to give you my advice for you about physical threats. Number one, be aware of your surroundings. Don't go walking down a dark alley at night in your downtown city after going out for dinner and stuff, especially by yourself if you're a woman or even if you're a man. Always best to travel in a group. So that being said, don't put yourself in a situation. You see a bunch of guys sitting on a corner acting like squiggly digs, and they're swinging knives around. They look sketchy. Take an alternate route. Always be aware of your situation. I pounded that information into my twin daughters when they were younger. They had to take buses on their own and go to a place called, switch the buses over by Centennial Square in the town that we lived in. And the Centennial Square was full of riot. And that brings me to always be with someone if you can, if you're going out and about. If you've got mobility issues, then more so, best to have somebody with you. Because not only are they there, they can assist you, but you also got a witness if anything goes down. Hold on to your belongings. You got purse, bags, backpack. I walk around, people laugh at me because I've had a man bag for years. And I just find it's easier to put all my stuff, my wallet, my keys, my phone and everything in there when I have it out on my shoulder, but slung across me this way. So if somebody wants to take it, they're going to have to pull me down. They pull me down, they're going to be into a whole different situation, I tell you. Maybe an old man, but I still got some moves left in me. If someone's threatening you to give up your possessions and stuff, well, depending on the situation, like I said, I go by a different set of rules personally because of my background. But if they give me your wallet, give me your purse, okay, it's better to give up your purse and lose that. Yes, you're being robbed. But it's better that than somebody shooting you or stabbing you. By all means, be prepared to defend yourself if you can. If you're old, elderly, in retirement years, we don't have the same moves we used to. You've got to judge that accordingly. Especially if you're scared and the person's really threatening you. Seek shelter or a defensive position. So someone's coming after you. Look around, see if there's a wall. If you can get your back towards a wall of some kind, or if you see somewhere where there's a shop and there's somebody working in the shop, try and get to the door or the window of the shop. Not only is that person going to be a witness to the event, but they may also come out and help you and assist you and scare away the person that's threatening you. If a person gets verbally in your face, I'm going to rip you limb to limb. What I do is I take a step back. Now, if that person takes a step forward towards me again, they've just invaded my personal space. And this goes back to being a peace officer. We're trained to have personal space around ourselves. Someone invades the personal space, you can say in a court of law, if you end up having to testify, I was standing here, Mr. Judge, and the guy came into my face, so I stepped back and he came towards me. That proves, especially in a court of law, that that person invaded your personal space area. Thereby, if you defend yourself or if you do fight back, you've got grounds for why you took those actions. It's a legal thing, but that's that. Remember, your personal items, your phone, your wallet, your purse, they can be replaced. Your life can't. So, you know, bear that in mind, and knowing that the fact that you know the age that you are. Now we'll move on to some other areas here that are threats to people in retirement. Who do you trust? Family and close friends? Sometimes we think we know someone, but do we really know them? Selecting an executor for your wills, asking for family and friends to invest money. How can any of us be sure who to trust? I'm going to have to say you have to go with your gut feeling. You know, I can't tell you who of your family members to trust. We hear stories every day about people, family members. Oh, grandma, I'll invest your money for you. And they work for an investment company, but no, they took it on their side because they figured they could carve out a better deal or try and run away with your money. And sometimes that's what happens. We lose our money and security in retirement. I hate to put it any other way. We're screwed. So it took us many years to gather that money together. You don't want to lose it. So again, who do you trust? To me, trust is earned. You know, you have family, friends, they earn their trust with you. It takes years and years to earn people's trust. And it takes only a few minutes and bad decisions for them to turn your trust and take it away. So, as for me, as a former correctional officer who's had guns and knives and shivs and other nasty things that have been thrust towards me as a threat, I treat things differently. I may be 65, but for my training as a correctional officer and peace officer, they sort of train us to assess threat situations. You ask anyone, even a retired friend who used to be a police officer. I mean, even today, I can't go to one of these big crowded events. It freaks me out because I can't concentrate on watching the fireworks. I'm too worried about who's looking around, looking left, looking right, who's behind me, who's in front of me. I mean, it's just peace officers know this. This is drilled into us, just like a break falling. Recently, not that long ago, a year or so ago, I fell off a 4.5 foot loading ramp onto the cement, and out of nowhere, my break falling techniques came out and saved me from that. My lungs were bruised for weeks and weeks, but I had no broken bones and I survived. I didn't die. So some of these things in occupations that we were in, we remember stuff. So for me, I'm constantly scanning. I can't relax, even if going to a concert. If it's sitting down with my partner and we're watching a concert, it's just too closed in. I'd much rather take my chances out in the woods with a cougar and a bear, because at least you've got uh, things you can work with. When you're with a big crowd of people, I don't like it. But suit yourself. The big crowds of people are also where you get hit with pickpockets and people stealing purses and things. So I I just don't like it. So you got to follow your own senses on that. Okay, now I'm going to get back to people who you can trust. Um, Financial transactions, large sums of money. You're buying a house, you're buying a car. You should have at least a family member or somewhat of a good friend with you when you're doing the final transactions and stuff. Because sometimes if they're with you, they can see things that are going on with the transaction and the person you're dealing with that you may not see. So it's always good to have an extra pair or set of eyes there and their opinions. If they, nudge you and say, "Hey, can we take a break for a minute?" And like, that guy selling you the car, there's something wrong here. It just doesn't feel right on this and that. So hopefully your trusted friend or family member is somebody you can really trust. But who can you trust? I mean, again, going back to my peace officer, correctional officer training, there's a rule, and you talk to, they may not admit it directly. I worked in in a detachment as a janitor with a bunch of police officers. They're nice, they're friendly, they're happy. But deep down, there's something that says, trust no one, believe nothing, verify everything. And someone who has been a peace officer, it's like, I appreciate that and I respect that. And I think if more people did that in their lives, there'd be a lot less of this people losing money to embezzlers or swindlers and things like that. Always take the time. We live in this world. We love this world. Take your time before you make major decisions. And I've found that recently on some issues. Take a step back and think about it. I'll think about it overnight before I'm going to buy this $90,000 truck. Yeah, I don't really need the $90,000 truck. I just saved myself a whole bunch of money. So, big decisions, take the steps, put some space between you and the decision before you make it. Here's another interesting thing. As we get older in retirement, is it so important to have that? And I said it in another video, the POA. And it's, you have a trusted friend or family member looking out for you in case you can't make decisions. And I want to take just a little bit of time here to do a personal story about my stepfather when he was alive. He was getting to the point where I think there was early dementia, but nobody really knew. He didn't want to go into a home. So anyways, one day he says to my mother, I'm just going to go out for a walk down to the bank. Okay. He goes down to the bank. He cashes out one of his investments, $5,000. Well, thanks a lot, Mr. S. We'll see you later. Okay, thanks. And he's walking down the street. Well, you know what he does? He's got all this wads of cash. And he was an old school guy. He grew up during the Depression, always liked to have a few bucks in his pocket. Well, he had more than a few bucks. They were $5,000. He starts talking to people on the street. You're a nice guy. Oh, how's your life going? How's things? Oh, here, have like $200-$300. And he starts handing out money and moves on to another person. Well, after a while, he's going around doing this. My mother's freaking out. She contacts me. Where is he? You can't find your stepdad. It's like, okay, well, where was he going? He's going to the bank. Go to the bank. Yeah, he was here. Took out $5,000. That's weird. What's he doing there? So eventually we got the police involved. We found him. We tracked him down. He had $1,000 left of that $5,000. He was literally walking down the street, talking to people, giving the money away. That's when they swung into action, and he had to go into a home. So I'm not saying it may happen to some of us or all of us. There may be similar stories. Let me know in the comments if something similar like that happened to you. But I mean, that was the early onset of dementia. And he was also getting verbally violent and minorly physically violent towards my mom. So we'll get into that to another time where we talk about when you're in retirement and your partner might have to go into a home. We'll talk about that at another point. So I guess in summing up of all of this, the threats and finding someone trusted, look for that person in your life that has your back or would die to protect you. I know my partner, she probably would do that. And I definitely know my little puppy here, he's not a puppy anymore, German Shepherd, Husky, Belgian Malinois cross. Despite him driving me nuts, he loves me. He sleeps in my room with me. And if something threatened me and I was out with him, he would go to the wire for me. So that's what you need to find when it comes to trusting someone, having a trusted friend or partner. Anyways, we'll talk more about other threats that come up for people in retirement later. But that's all I got for the day. The Cosmic Retired Guy saying goodbye. And you have a great day.